Hello everybody and welcome back. You don't have to wait another 11 months to see a new video. I'm going to try and post a new video every week on Monday. And who knows, I might do other videos, but right now, all the ideas that I have right now are the campfire stories. So that's just what we're going to be doing. Today we're also going to be doing one of those stories, and that's about the Banshee, as I'm sure you've seen from the title. But you know, as always, you can't have a proper campfire without a fire. It's just not possible. So ta-da! I got fancy with it. So now, banshees are in Irish and Scottish folklore. The Irish term banshee was derived from bean send or bean sea. I am definitely saying those wrong, so I'll put them down here so that you know what I'm saying, which translates to fairy woman. There is also another name that she goes by, and that translates to woman of the fairy mound. The mounds refer to these large mounds they called tumuli, which are mounds of the earth that dotted the countryside. They were placed on top of singular or multiple graves and were said to be homes of spirits of the dead. Now, the Irish Banshee's counterpart, her name was Bean 9, which is also going to be down here because I don't think I'm saying those right, which is translated to fairy washerwoman. She also had names like washerwoman or washer at the ford. Another small difference between the Irish and the Scottish Banshee was that of their looks. The Irish Banshee usually has two different descriptions, one as a fair maiden, the other as a hunched over old hag with a veiled face. But she almost always had long, streaming hair with a gray cloak over a deep green dress, and she wears a white dress, or she wears a white dress. I can't speak today, I can't read apparently. Or she wears a white dress and red hair with a ghastly complexion. Her eyes are permanently reddened from her constant weeping, and she is usually seen standing in the distance or flying across the sky, the sounds of her weeping following close behind her. The Scottish Banshee is a bit more of a horror vibe, to be honest. She is described to have very droopy breasts, only one nostril, her feet were webbed like ducks, and she usually was seen hunched over the side of a river washing blood out of the armor or the clothes of the person that was to die. Now, there was another interesting thing I found, but only one of my sources said this, so I don't know how accurate it is. But it was said that her breasts were so saggy that she actually flung them over her shoulders to get them out of the way while she was washing, because they would just always get in the way. Now, adding on to that, there were a few other stories that were just about the Scottish Banshee, but a lot of my sources said that if you saw her on the side of the river, you could sneak up behind her, and if you sucked on one of her breasts and claimed that you were one of her foster children, she would either tell you who was going to die, or she would grant you 3 wishes. There were a few different variations of the story. Also, interestingly, one of the stories even said that if you were able to stop her from finishing washing the clothes, then you could actually spare the life of the person who was about to die. Now I want to talk about one more small thing before I get into the big thing that the Banshees are known for, and that's their screaming. But before we get into that, most of all the information I found was very adamant about the fact that Irish Banshees only appeared to those that had pure Irish bloodline. Those bloodlines were of the O'Neills, O'Briens, O'Connors, O'Grady's, and the Kavanagh families. That wasn't the same for the Scottish Banshee, but what they both had in common was that whoever heard the wailing of a banshee or saw her by the edge of the river, a person from their family would die. She was seen as like a predictor of death or almost a death omen. Now on to what I feel like is the most interesting part about the banshee. The things I read described the banshee's mournful keening or screaming or wailing to be something so raw and so full of emotion and the most dreadful noise and sound someone could ever hear. Just thinking about it gives me the chills. It was so loud that you could hear it for miles, and it was so gut-wrenchingly terrifying that the sound even drove some soldiers from battle if they heard it. Now you probably are wondering why I think this is the most interesting part, and to put it simply, I found one article stating that Irish would actually hire professional keeners, and I just sat there and thinking, it's like, what does that even mean? So I did some research. And at the end of the 19th century, a lot of Irish, mostly those in the lower class, performed keening rituals. When someone in the community died, a woman who was usually a professional mourner would lead a keening ritual, guiding the community through a highly structured grieving process. Keening women also took on the role as caretaker for the whole community, and they also did things before, during, and after the funeral to kind of help the community heal. One of the things they would do is perform a structured lament to protect the soul from going into the other world and care for the soul until it reaches its final resting place. To me, it's just the coolest thing because the keening of the banshee was more than just a terrifying scream, but it was a release of raw emotion for whomever was to die. The banshee would grieve with the family in a way, and a few of the sources I read that the banshee was once part of that particular family, whether it be a girl in the family that died as a baby or a child, or baby or child, I was right, okay, or it was a woman who was murdered. So if you kind of think about it, it's almost as if the banshee was the family's personal professional keener, and I just think it's so interesting. So that's kind of all I have today on the banshees. I love to hear what you guys have to say. So if you have any suggestions on campfire stories I could do, or even if you have some thoughts of your own on the banshee, I would love to hear that. So just go ahead and leave a comment down below. And as always, be good. And if you can't be good, be safe. And if you can't be safe, be awesome. Bye.